Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll.
Daring, Hilberg,
Here.
Bohart, LaFever, Foley,
Yes.
Rich, yes.
Public participation rules. Please wait for the chair to acknowledge you before you speak. Begin by stating your name and address. Give us your comments, opinions, or questions on the issue being discussed. 4, to ensure that everyone has time to speak and that we can address other items on the agenda, we may limit an individual speaking time to 5 minutes. If time permits, we may allow you one additional time period to provide information. 5, please be respectful of the Planning Commission, applicant, and your neighbors. Again, thank you for attending. Tom Hilberg, Chair.
Adoption of the agenda.
Adoption of the agenda. Norm? Chuck? Favor adopting the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, pub correspondence, we have the letter of, or the finding of facts from Rick Duell.
You're gonna have to approval of minutes for December 14th.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry. Yes, okay, approval of minutes from our December 14th meeting. Chuck? John? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approved. Okay, now, correspondence from,
No, you're going to be going ahead with
oh, public comment, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry, yep. Should we be waiting?
You've reached the conference center. Join.
No, you can continue.
Okay.
I just want to, this is for
Please enter
fun.
your password. You are now a reader. Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Anybody that has anything, just in general to bring up that you want the Planning Commission to hear, not related to the case. When we get to the case, we'll allow public comment at that time about that. But if you have anything just in general, for the Commission, now's the time to do that. And if it's related to the case, then when we get into the case, we'll be glad to hear what you have to say about the case. Okay, so I assume everybody here is yes.
Also ask if there's any public comments by telephone.
I'm sorry, yes. Is there any public comment by phone? Okay, no. Okay, now correspondence. We'll have a finding of fact from Rick Duell. Okay. Do we have to have a motion to bring that? Or just,
I think the motion comes,
well, it comes later. Okay,
later,
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
to accept it or not.
Okay, we'll get to the case then. Case P0121. Bradley and Angela Setkowski, is that correct? Shikowski, okay, I'm sorry. Request a special approval use for a tiny home as the principal dwelling on a parcel. Property is located at 3450 Gilbert Circle. Parcel number 018-230-000-020-01 in a mixed residential R3 zone. Okay, do we have we have a motion to open the public hearing, right?
Hey,
Yes, that's the way I remember, okay. And somebody want to make that?
Yeah.
Norm, and second? Chuck, okay. All in favor of opening the public hearing on case P01-021? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay.
Then I think you, for some reason, she's got down here read fact finding sections A and B on the agenda.
Okay. Okay, so now we bring the finding of fact in, A and B.
Yeah, that's how it looks.
Okay. All right, now we are going to bring our finding of fact, section A and B, in regard to the case. Do we have a motion to do that? Okay. Okay, all in favor? Aye, okay. And as we know, it's located at 3450 Gilbert Circle. Okay, and section B says, this parcel is located in mixed residential R-zone district. Tiny homes are permitted with special use permit and must follow supplemental development regulations. Lot area and width, the size complies with the minimum lot size standards. Building height, one-story structures complies with standards. Lot coverage complies with standards and does not exceed 35% of the lot. Setbacks complies with standards for front, side, and waterfront. Yard setbacks, 90 feet, setback from Gilbert Circle 70, setback from Lake 25, setback from east property line, and 40 feet setback from the west property line. Minimum floor area of the structure is 252 square feet, and with a special use permit meets standard of a tiny home as principal dwelling from 250 to 599 square feet. Okay, now we got the,
You
now,
have an open discussion.
huh?
I think you have an open discussion now.
Okay, now, I guess we'll let the permittees speak first, and if you have anything to add, or?
We're new to this, so
Okay,
again, bear with me. What our intentions are,
and your and just state your name too, please.
sure, I'm Brad Shakusky, this is my wife Angela. We are the owners at 3450 Gilbert Circle. Our intentions are to improve the site for our use as a family. And what we're trying to avoid is pulling a camper down there and putting a camper on the lot. We are in the process of improving the lot. We're scheduled to excavate the site in the spring. It'll be landscaped, fresh lawn, a nice circle drive. We want a nice red maple out by the road. To try to make this, conducive to the lakefront area. The last thing we want to do is pull another camper down that road and enjoy it in that fashion. We want to make it nicer. Our proposal that we submitted with the small cabin, one of the examples, it's a fairly nice and apparent small cabin with a covered front porch. That is our goal, to have that complete next summer if we get approved. It wouldn't be an ongoing construction project. We want to rip it out and have it done so we can start enjoying the property. We are not in the position right now to build a 700 or 800 square foot cabin with a son going to U of M and our daughter's 14. This would allow us to enjoy the property now. And our goal would be that this is temporary in nature, that this cabin would be constructed as such that we could remove it from the property when we are able to build a more suitable cabin. But for now, this is our best option without, we don't want to buy another camper and park it up there. We own one, they're cheaply made, they all leak eventually, and we don't want to do that. We'd like to keep them.
Anybody in the audience have? Go ahead.
Just a point is your interim building official. And I just want to make it clear for Brad, because if I'm still here at the time when they come to get their building permit, just a couple things we need to know. Assuming it gets approved later on in the meeting. The first thing is the site plan that's it's not correct, but it's not gonna change the required amount of setback, but this thing is showing 90 feet from the roadway, 70 feet from the edge of the water, and then you got a 14-foot wide building there, so that's 174 feet long, but the lot's only 141 on one side and 132 on the other.
If I could respond to that. The measurements that I put into that site plan were pulled from Google Earth, from the road, so I don't know what the actual road right-of-way is, and it referenced the historic water line. I don't quite know where that was. Those measurements provided in the site plan were from the edge of the water to the actual road, not the right-of-ways in the historic water line. So there's, either way, we make sure that we're
Oh, yeah, and
proper.
that's why I stated, you've got plenty of room to move it and still be in compliance with
Yeah.
the zoning stuff. But then as far as, when you get around to building it, you can make it so it's removable, you just follow the building code utility. That electric fireplace you're calling for a heat source, it can't be one that's plugged in.
Okay.
So you have to have a heat source as part of the building, so if you wanna get a nice plug-in fireplace, that you can do that. But you have to at least put one heat, like an electric heater on the wall somewhere.
We could wire in.
Just, yeah, you have to have
She
a.
wants that for ambiance,
Yeah.
but we could put an electric face for
Yeah,
it.
you may never need it when you're there, but by code, you gotta have that, and then it's gonna have to be attached to the ground somehow. Permanently. You can't just sit there and get. They're not big showstoppers, they're just things I want you to be aware of.
Is that something we could work with you to make sure
Absolutely.
we're compliant?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going by your description.
Could you repeat? I can't write.
No, Google Earth doesn't work at all.
What was that?
I can't write this fast, like what he's saying.
Just basically,
You have to have a heat source that is what?
I guess, I wouldn't try to,
I'm not doing it verbatim.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, they got, the lot size is actually 141 and these numbers here are correct, 132 and 141. That's the length of the lot. Oh, length, yeah. And that's from the property line. It's red and plain, it doesn't know that.
Just the address setbacks. Just, that's all you have to really say. Huh? That's, the new building official,
Oh, okay.
Gilmet. Don Gilmet.
This owner was nice enough to purchase 10 feet of the lot next to ours, so it is, it's, I believe it's 80 foot on the road and then 110 feet on the lot. As far as,
Okay, so basically, what Don's telling you is that if it's approved, you have to see him and make sure you meet all the, and that'd be part of a building permit anyway, so, but it appears there is room to still meet the requirements and, in the lot, so, is anybody else wanna, go ahead, you are,
Let me do your job.
okay.
State their names.
Sylvia Stalinsky, and we live at 3396 Gilbert Circle. I have one question. He had mentioned that he wanted to build this tiny house so that there's not, to avoid bringing in a camper. But if he builds this tiny house and it's considered a permanent structure, is he going to have 3 and 4 other campers there on the property over the summer? We already have one camping, trailer park. So is this something that he's building just for himself or to allow 3 or 4 other campers to be able to be brought in?
Well, and I guess there are time limits on travel trailers on lake lots.
There are on Gilbert?
Well, I don't know that they're being enforced, but there is time limits on that. And I guess I don't know his plan about that, but. Go ahead.
My name's the other half, Mark. Listen, all the water from the whole area drains in a creek right down the property line DNR mandates you're gonna have 20 feet setback that you can't plant anything. If you site grade, he's gonna need an MDQ and DNR permit to put any fill dirt in there and take the appropriate precautions to cause any, problems towards that drainage that flows all year round, right down the property line. Secondly, in the site plan, once it's scaled, hopefully you'll consider the well placement and septic tank, which is gonna have to be above grade. Thirdly, I've already took a transit and shot the property line, and all the property currently drains towards that creek on the right-hand side of the property. Now, those things are real showstoppers, and these affect the setbacks that you're talking about in your building permit. You don't actually see it, you don't know this stuff unless you actually drive and know the drainage out there. I've worked closely with Mr. Fernier of the County Road Commission, maintaining the ditches out there, which has just been recently overhauled. They just put a new drainage line underneath the road that goes right to the middle, right down to the property line of this lot. There's a lot for you all to be concerned with here, so it doesn't come back and bite Mr. Skaskowski and y'all in the butt. The setback, there's a new ordinance 352 that I just sent this newsletter that talks about a green belt. The green belt, he's neutered about every tree off the property, but, well, two. The green belt has already been violated by your ordinance. So, a lot of things to think about. That's some of our concerns. We don't need any pollution. We work hard to keep and maintain a good waterway out there. We do not want any of the drainage, which would affect the whole area. Community blocks up towards the highway, all drains down past his, down his property line. That was my concern. And before I would even begin to say yes, I need to see a no kidding accurate measured site plan showing drain field, well locations, current structure size. I'm an engineer. And know this stuff well. So I got my soapbox.
Well, there's that microphone right from you. I will just address a couple of Mark's concerns. Any, wells, I don't even know if you're putting in a well or something, but the tiny houses can be self-contained, carry their own water, carry their own. But in regards to the ditch, for the drainage easement between the lots and the lake, is before he disturbs any dirt out there to start building a house, he's also gonna have to have a county soil erosion permit. And that's where that's went over, and you have to put up silt fence to make sure that the water doesn't get off your property, number one, or get into the ditch or into the Devil's Lake. So all that'll be addressed before you actually start building. Cut trees down and stuff, you don't need anything for that.
And to add to that, if I could, Don is also the county, I'm not in here, I'm in here. He's,
I quit that job.
so anyway, Don can get them in touch with the drainage, soil erosion permit. It used to be Commissioner Gilmet. He has handed that torch off. And then also, Mark, one thing that you mentioned with the green belt. That is not an enforceable ordinance. That is a section in ordinance 142 that promotes green belt.
This is true.
And to be honest, I may be one of the only people in the greater Charter Township of Alpena that has a functional green belt downstream on Devil's Lake. So it's not a definable offense. It is a section within ordinance 142 that describes green.
To address your comments here, the township has ordinances, if you put a structure on, that is a giving starting point where you can then are allowed to keep a camper stored out there. Now, I know he said he's not planning on doing that, but I've seen this gentleman already demonstrate when advised of the ordinance that you can't have more than one camper out there for a maximum of 30 days on your property and camp. He had as many as, I believe, 3 campers out there when advised that this is a violation of camping. So he's already, in my mind, already set a precedence on that. That's approve this is grant him also the side authority to move in a camper and keep it stored out there and camp out there for the time frame.
Sir, if I could respond.
Sure.
Okay, the issue with the campers, I don't own a camper. When we first purchased the lot, my mother and my uncle camped there for the first week that we owned it. I think that's what he's talking about. He spoke with my family that was there. I've never spoken with these folks. As far as never being a camper there, I can't tell you that my folks will never park their camper next to our cabin and camp with us for the weekend. That will probably happen. That's why we're purchasing the land to enjoy it. I don't own a camper. I don't have any intentions of buying one, so there's nothing that's going to be stored there as far as a camper. Now, if my parents leave their camper there for a week, that may happen, but they're not going to store it there. In fact, they're going to Alaska next summer for 6 weeks. So that's that. As far as the soil erosion permit, I had already contacted Mr. Gilmet with regard to that. I'm well aware that I have to put sediment fence up before the excavating begins. We intend to comply with all those rules. We certainly don't want to be bad neighbors. And the greenbelt issue, we cleared the lot, we left, all the trees. The lot was so thick you couldn't enjoy it. We live in the woods. I don't want to go to the lake and swat mosquitoes and break leaves the whole time we're there. We cleared it with the intention of putting a nice lawn in, landscaping. It will be improved. It will be pleasant to look at. We have neighbors to the west of us who have nice landscape yards. That's what our goal is improvement. We're not trying to turn the neighborhood into a slum, so to speak. That's our whole thing with the construction of the cabin. We want it to be nice. We don't want it to be a trailer park.
Anybody? Go ahead, Chuck.
Electronics technician, electrician, and I'm screwed up with all this modern stuff. Could you approach the table for a second? I want you to look at something here. I did a last minute check on that. Is that the property there we're talking about? And I understand this was probably before the trim.
is.
That's the property.
This property line and then down here.
Okay.
These trees, like I said, when you pulled in, it was tight. It would actually kind of scrape down your truck, and this was so thick you really couldn't even see the water.
Okay,
That's
so
why-
those trees now are gone.
Not all of them. We
But
left
some
mostly
of
the
them, some of
hardwoods.
them, yeah,
There
okay.
was, everything was grown so closely together, it was taller than
Anybody else want to see this?
I've seen it, I mean, I went out and looked.
Yeah, I've looked at the site too, but here, sure, I'll take a look.
So anyway,
Cedar
my,
trees on the property were so rotten that the squirrels actually had them packed full of insulation.
yeah, I hear you, I hear you. Yeah, I had trouble when I first saw Devil's Lake. I didn't know which Devil's Lake we were talking about till I Googled it. But anyway, so I missed your name, sir. I'm Chuck Lefevre.
Chuck Lynn and Mark Stolinsky.
Stolinsky?
Yes.
Okay. And this lady
My wife Sylvia.
is your wife. Welcome to our meeting tonight. Yeah, I missed it when you guys were talking about names. So you're neighbors?
Concert will be a couple doors up from them.
Okay.
33,
All
96,
right.
they're at 4450, I think it is.
So, that's all I have. I would like to make the comment, though. You're the first tiny house, and I've been pushing and talking about tiny houses for a long time. And I have a brother in Wisconsin, and they're doing tiny houses, all kinds of stuff that would blow our mind. We're thinking about tree houses and all kinds of things they're having to deal with, kind of thing. So it's interesting. We're looking at a tiny house situation. And I don't really have any questions. I understand the site plan, there's the concerns with the site plan, and, you know, about the well, and they're self-contained tiny houses. As far as the well and septic tanks go, I would guess that, you know, you should touch base with the health department to see anything in the future. You're going to have to, like they're talking about, get those sort of things. So, anyway, that's all I have at the moment.
Go ahead, Norm.
Mr. Gomet, Is that, so therefore you do not require a septic tank or a well for a tiny house?
No, I didn't say that. I said from looking at the diagram they submitted, they're showing, you know, a forced sewage pump, and there are toilets, you know, Presque, some of the hunt camps have composting toilets that are just like everything self-contained. You empty something at some point in time. But no, they'll still have to talk to the health department
Okay.
and find out what it is they need as far as what the health department is the improvement authority for water and septic, because there's no township facilities out there. So all those things will be done, a correct site plan. Once Bradley and his wife get it staked out exactly where the house is going, he can pull measurements. He'll just submit a new plan, and it's gonna meet all the setbacks. The main reason, well, actually, the only reason he's here in front of this board is because it's a tiny house, and it's in your ordinance that it requires a special use permit. So as long as it meets all your requirements in there, which Mr. Duell already went through them all, he said they did, then that's pretty much game over. Once you go through building permit, health department, soil erosion, all that's outside of this board, and all those things will be reviewed by the appropriate people, and they'll be in compliance with the state laws and county laws, or you won't get a permit. So that'll all be done before he actually gets to start building that house, or, you know, foundation.
Okay, could I ask a question?
Go ahead, yes.
Okay, so I've got, kind of on the same line as Norm. It has to be in compliance with what, in a sense, what a house would be, a big house.
Correct.
It's just you got a little house. So
Right.
you're gonna have to do everything a big house would have to do, in a sense. It's just in a tinier format. And, I guess, I don't I mean, I see this toilet that's freestanding, and I don't know too many big homes that have a freestanding toilet like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I'm
Well,
worried.
that's all contained.
Yeah, I know, I get that, but what I'm a little concerned, are you saying that you can build a home through the standards of the public, standards that they have for the water and sewer, where you don't need a sewer, or a septic?
You can build buildings like that. I'll give you an example of one that you're probably already familiar with.
Uh-huh.
Not a tiny house, but it's a tiny coffee shop. Sits right in front of mine.
Okay,
That's hooked to it. That's hooked to a utility,
okay,
but because they direct bore such a small pipe, they have a big toilet similar to that one that macerates everything and forces it far enough to get it into the sewer system. Those kind of toilets, I don't know the exact word for it, but they compost and they
yeah.
take care of
I mean,
everything
they
themselves.
make them in Alaska, apparently, that's because of the way the foundation, permafrost, but my other, okay, so we've got that situation, but if I'm hearing you right, you're building this temporarily, and then you're planning on pulling it off and building bigger someday, maybe. So is it the intention to build this like you're supposed to build it anyway, without the thought of pulling it off, like a foundation and all those kinds of things?
Right, it will totally have to meet the Michigan residential code as
Okay.
far as foundation. Now, that doesn't mean it needs you can build a pole barn.
Right.
It's got a bunch of posts holding it to the ground, but it's not, you know, a foundation.
Because I guess, and again, it's all up to the ordinance, because the way the public standards are with the sewer and water and all that, but I don't think the intention, and you tell me if this is what would happen, that sheds would just get pulled on here, and they'd put a toilet in there that's freestanding of whatever kind, and call it good.
The shed?
Well, I mean, you know, you can buy these sheds that are, they're big. They're usually built for, as an accessory use to put tools in and things,
Well,
but, you know, I'm wondering, is that
I
something?
know it's difficult because, as you said, this is the first one.
Yeah,
But just in general, forget about the building stuff. Just
Yeah.
in general planning and zoning. So you can have a shed, and you don't need to go to this board to get permission to do the shed. Because the shed, nobody lives in. You can't put
Okay.
you can't put a toilet in the shed. You can't put a sink in the shed. The minute you do that, it's no more a shed. Now it becomes a small structure. Small structures, the only kind allowed in your ordinance
okay.
are the reason he's here right now. So if he did want to put a toilet in there, we'd have to come back to this board.
Okay, so do you understand that?
Yeah, that's precisely why we're here.
Okay.
You know, this took a lot of, and There were some issues, I concurred with Mr. Skibby, there were some issues with the previous building official. We got a little bit of misinformation, so we corrected that, working with Mr. Skibby, trying to do the process correctly to get the approval. What we didn't want to have happen is we build a small building, albeit beautiful, but then you guys tell us, hey, you can't have that, and we have to move it off the property.
Yeah.
That's why we're going through the proper channel.
Okay, because, I mean, I understand it, but I don't know as though everybody gets that. I think there are gonna be people that are gonna try to put a shed on there and a little toilet and say, I'm gonna live there. It's like,
Well,
that's
then
not
you'll-
how it works, you know?
That'll be your decision then when they come to this, you either come to this meeting before they do it.
No, but you're
Because-
telling me that through, when you do when you're going through section 7, 738, I think that's, no, not 738, where you have to go through the health department. And you have to deal with the water supply, sewage, the runoff, all that stuff. That kind of makes it harder to just put a shed on there with some kind of a toilet base.
Correct. That being said, I'm sure that somewhere in
Yeah.
the township that already exists and nobody knows about.
Well, that's with a lot of things, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Brad, I have spoke with Brad a few times over, he's trying to get all the ducks in a row, so.
Okay,
Short story, water, sewer, health department, they say okay, we say it's okay.
and erosion.
For the building official has to say it's okay by doing the plan review. For the placement on the lot, will have to be in total compliance with not only the zoning ordinance, but any requirements that you may attach to the.
Right, to the
granting,
special
not
use.
granting the special use.
Right. And you do understand the special use goes to you.
I'm sorry, it goes to us. What do you mean by that?
That, like, we're granting the special use to your building. And it doesn't, I don't know, I don't think you can sell it.
runs with the land.
It runs with the land, it doesn't,
Once this special use is going to the property.
Right.
So he can sell it tomorrow.
so he
They've
could do it
already
with
got
that,
the
yeah.
special use For exactly what he got a special use. for
Right.
in his one, not for anything more or anything less.
Right,
And we do, I mean, it's hard to predict the future. We have, like I said, we got other things to worry about right now with our kid in
Yeah.
college. There's gonna come a time when we're gonna be too old to deal with a tiny house. We're gonna want an actual place out there, so, I mean, yes, in the future, that would be our intent to remove this building, have a guy come in and put it on a truck and haul it out of there, like you see these little Amish barns getting covered.
right.
And build a more suitable cabin that's larger and more conducive to us as we age. This is so we can enjoy it now, because we're not in a position to a 600 square foot home with all your traditional, it's a $100,000 investment that we can't make right now.
Yeah, because I guess what I'm trying to say to you is when you get that special use, it's gonna go to your drawing. It can't get any bigger without permission. I mean, you're gonna have to live in that.
Yeah, but we only live 10 miles up the road.
Okay.
I mean,
Just,
occasional weekend use, trust me, we're not
so
living
just
there.
so you know.
Right. And honestly, I mean, the very little bit that we got to enjoy the property this summer, she'd have to either change at home ahead of time, or if we were there and she wanted to change, she had to lay in the backseat of the car or hide in the shed. That's why we want something for convenience there. We will stay there from time to time, but we're not gonna be there by any means.
You can't change in the shed if you want that.
If there's no further questions, you can close the public.
Go ahead.
I would request that this request be tabled until such time the final site plan is closer. I think it'll dictate pretty quickly in feasibility. The approval at this point is, in my mind, presumptuous. It's only gonna slow it down this winter for a month or more for Don to get his hands and lay out, or somebody to provide a laid out site plan. I would factor in what you're talking about with respect to well and septic tank location, because those things, looking towards the future, he's looking at down the road when he retires, will be really impact on the layout in the site plan. I know when I asked for a variance some time ago on Long Lake Road, and I'm building a horse farm, I had to have dimension drawings, and the well had to be so far from the water,
setbacks you're dealing with are with water bodies, like the Thunder Bay River, and as far as soil erosion goes, there's not gonna be any setback either. The only thing soil erosion is gonna deal with is that no sediment or dirt gets off of that property, plugs up that drainage easement or gets in the lake. At some point in time, you need to plant the grass, and that's the buffer, green belt, or filter for any stormwater. Mark stated, all the water goes there right now already, so it's still gonna go there. It's just, it can't go there and be dirty when it gets there. It's gotta be filtered out, so it'll have to fence until such a time as the vegetation is established to take care of that problem.
Let me, since I can speak loud enough, refresh your memory. Remember when Walmart was, built, and right behind, R.A. Thompson, there was a little teeny puddle of water that had some cattails in it? The DNR wouldn't let a roadway go through because there was cattails in a little hole that's no bigger than from this circle right here, or less.
Well,
Now, I still think, Don, that you should get a hack from the DNR. You might be shocked. He said he thinks
Okay.
you need to know that the DNR says some of a restriction near that water. That's all I ask, Don.
But that's not really our, that's not our call. And as far as, if he wants to build a 600 square foot property in the future, that might not even be able to happen on that site. I don't really know. You know, maybe he can't do a well and septic on that site. I don't really know, but he's not asking to do that. And he doesn't really have to come to us when he wants to do that. He just has to go to the health department and the building official, and if he ever wants to do that. So we have to concentrate on this tiny house that we're, go ahead, Norm.
I believe that when they went to see Mr. Gilmet and find out what they had to do and what they can do, this is in reference to, I guess, I believe this is, he sent him here to get the permission for the tiny house. All those other things are part of what has to be done to satisfy the building permit before you get a building permit. So they're here to see if we will allow a tiny house to go on this piece of property. It's meeting the requirements by our gentleman, Mr. Dool, saying that he's met all those requirements. So all the other requirements are gonna fall under the building department area that they're gonna check out through the health department. If all of a sudden they wanna build this house, they go to the health department, sorry, you gotta have a well. That may knock their position down. I believe I'm stating this correctly, that we're here to tell them, yes, we approve the fact that as a special use that you can have a tiny house in this lot. If there's anybody that doesn't agree to that.
I personally think it could have been handled with the building inspector, because everything, in a sense, I know you didn't, but we didn't do it that way because it's our first one, and we just wanted to go through this process along with Nathan. But when it comes to the public services that you have to provide for, that's decided by them, not us. They determine all that stuff, so they may say no to you. We may say yes on the building, but you may get no from the public service because you're not gonna be able to do what they ask. But as far as the house and everything, that is determined through the setbacks and all the stuff in our zoning ordinance, which is what we determine, along with the help of the building administrator and our Nathan. So that's like but you know.
Step one, we just had to get this
Yeah.
before we moved any further.
But the whole point on the future, you're starting on ground zero again. You're only getting a special use for this building. That's it. You're not getting one for another one. So that's,
An
yeah.
actual house over 600 square feet doesn't require special use, that's just a normal residence.
yes, that's right.
And to that end, Brad, Don, and myself, we've talked about this, and we've actually caught an honest individual from going down a path that he was told that was okay to go down by a former employee. He's done everything to the nth degree. Mr. Dool also, on my first zoning
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
Listen, what's very interesting to me is that this is our first tiny house, little house, whatever. And I think it's due diligence imperative on us to know the ramifications of that happening. And it's interesting you two folks are here to respond to their asking a request for a special use. And I think we need to understand, and you're a good example, you're coming in front of us and you're telling us something, and when we're going to approve special uses for tiny houses, and that becomes something, because I know, I hear all kinds of people are starting to talk about tiny houses, if you will. And so what I'm interested in is, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but this is just for general knowledge for myself and maybe some of the other committee members, is why are you really here? And if you don't answer it, you don't have to. But that's going to help us understand, because if you go, like Dual refers to, and I don't know if you have an opportunity, but when you go to section 602, and you go right down the list, and number 4 says the Planning Commission may consider the potential impact on property values of nearby properties when determining the impact of a proposed special land use on adjacent properties. And he says there are no conflicts that exist. So my concern is that we've been through, and I took some time, went through this, and I tried to look up. I didn't get a chance to run out there. But the thing of it is that you want to respond to that, and that's what I'm asked. So we know what are some of the things that are going to come up in the future that we should make sure that the people that are applying are prepared for, and we're prepared for, to make sure that those interests are looked at from the community members. That's my concern. So if you want to respond, I'd certainly appreciate it. And we can have it off the record if you want to, I guess. That's.
It can be on the record. These are probably very nice people, but we already have a problem on Gilbert Drive. We have 7 or 8 or 9 camper trailers on an unbuildable lot, which could have a tiny house on it that probably qualify. These people come up all summer long. They have 1 septic tank, no drain field, just a septic tank, for 9 trailers. They dump their gray water on the ground. They run 4-wheelers with 8, 9, and 10-year-old kids up and down the roads, the public roads. They're off-road vehicles. They have 8, 9, 10-year-old kids out on jet skis all over the Narrows. I almost got dumped in my kayak because they thought it was funny to make circles around the kayak.
Oh, forgot.
We sit out there. We are retired. 12 or 13 kids there with very little adult supervision, running around, yelling, screaming. The trailer's on the top of a blind hill. I had 3 or 4 times I've come to the top of the blind hill riding, and there's been a little kid on a bike right there at the top of the hill.
Yeah, so,
That's what I don't want to see happen down the road for me.
yeah,
And when you have 3 trailers in there, somebody had a dog that was running around, I was walking my schnauzer, and I had a big dog come up to my schnauzer. We've been dealing with this other thing now for 5
okay,
years.
all right.
Any help from the sheriff's department, from the DNR, or from the township?
And that's good information for us, because now we know there's a problem out there, and maybe we can look at it. Maybe our folks in the administration area can look at that kind of thing. But what we have to be very careful, in my opinion, is that these folks, as taxpayers and community people, also aren't going to be affected by negativity that's provided by the people that are there now. So we have to look at crossed T's and dotted I's for what's there, in my mind. But that's interesting, because we're going to face a lot of this in the future, I think, about that sort of thing. And so, Mr. Chairman, we have, if you want to respond to me.
Okay.
Last comment. I've lived in a Long Lake area for 65 years. Long Lake, this is a simile. People build cottage on top of cottage on top of cottage, and the wells and septic tank to the point where it fits right into your small building structure. They put the little bitty cottages, and it becomes an issue between too many drain fields, too many wells. There's already a precedent's been set. If you look at the conditions around some of the old resorts around Long Lake, where they took a resort and sold this cottage just all as a separate lot, sold this cottage, things got too close together. That all factors into these small post structures. It's just something to think about when you grant too many of these small house things. Down the road, you know that they're going to build a bigger structure. Ultimately, the well will be appealed for. Ultimately, I know that's Dom's in the septic tank, but that's the precedence to start with these small house structures. I know this is the first time, and that's why I'm only standing up here bringing this issue about small houses. We went through the whole barrage of the pollution and floating sniffer bars all over the water on the shoreline here on Long Lake years ago. I saw it. I lived through it. We just don't want that in our area. Right next to, 2 doors down from where they're building, a guy owns 40 acres. There's that veteran, Ben Everly. He's planning on subdividing that quarry and putting more small house structures on it.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, again, that's all good things for us to know.
That's what I'm responding to.
And I understand that, and I appreciate that so much. I've lived here for 80 years too. So the thing of it is that these folks are doing what's required, that we require, and the people that do. But your input is excellent for us to know what's going on out there and what to watch for, because I know people, and where our cottage was out there, we had 4 people on the same well, 4 different cottages on the same well. And that's existing a lot, and that's how they solve some of this stuff, but people start getting innovative about how to deal with it.
We want to kind of just stick to this case.
And that's what
Yes.
we're doing.
Yes.
That's what
This
we're,
has got nothing to do with it.
No,
Easier to decide what
and, but thank you, I'm looking for information, and that's my right as a commission member, okay?
this would be
I don't
this
need
would
to
be a
told
buildable
by-
lot for a structure.
I don't
So
need the
this would,
building I don't need the building official, and I know,
yeah.
but I don't need him to tell me what I'm talking about. I need that information. I think it needs to be in the community. It's got nothing, these people are good people. They've got all their I's crossed and their T's dotted. Anyway, is that I think we can move on now, but this was important for me to know why they're here, and they're the only ones here. So I think that's good information, because we're gonna run into more of this down the road. So thank you for letting me speak, Mr. Gilmet, and,
Didn't mean to stop you, I didn't keep it moving.
I've had shots of it too. I'd like to get home too, so.
All right. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
John? All in favor? Aye. Okay, any additional? Oh, yeah, that's right, the finding of facts, remainder of the finding of facts. I'm assuming the board has reviewed the finding of facts, and his conclusion is based on the analysis and information provided. The tiny home meets the ordinance standards.
I think in another minutes, Tom, under that, a discussion was taken place by the planning commission to determine if the applicant's request for the special use permit fits the zoning ordinance standards.
Okay.
You know, so,
So you,
you have, I guess the commission has to review those
so we should review all,
standards
okay.
and then determine from there if it's agreed upon, I guess, through a roll call.
So I should
What
read,
you have to do is, well, I guess you have to decide, like, this, the approval of standards is section 602, under section 740, A and B, right?
yes.
And that's what this is, discuss fact finding sections A, B, and summary of findings. So the summary of the findings was, based on the analysis of the information provided, the tiny home meets the ordinance standards. So you basically should just, I guess, read through section
602.
And A and B.
Okay,
And then we as a commission, yes or no, right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, section 602, special land use approval standards. Adjacent uses, the use, location, and size of use and nature and intensity of operation shall not be such to disrupt the orderly and properly development of the district as a whole or be in conflict with or discourage the principal permitted uses of adjacent or neighboring lands or in buildings. No potential issues identified. If anybody has any comments, please do. Special land uses shall not be more objectionable to nearby properties by reason of traffic, noise, vibration, dust, fumes, smoke, glare, flashing lights, and disposal of waste than the operation of any principal permitted use. He identifies no potential issues identified. The use 3, the use shall not increase hazard from fire and other dangers to either the property or adjacent properties. And he has no potential issues identified. 4, the planning commission may consider the potential impact on property values nearby properties when determining the impact of a proposed special use on adjacent properties. He has no potential issues identified. Traffic and access. Number 1, the use shall not increase traffic hazards or cause congestions on public highways and streets and area. Adequate access to the use shall be furnished by either existing roads or highways or proposed roads and highways. He has no potential issues identified. Public service, water supply, sewer, disposal systems. That doesn't apply because this is a self-contained. Applicant will need to provide on-site water supply and sewage disposal according to health department, which that will have to be approved by the health department if the tiny home is allowed. The use will be adequately served by essential public services and facilities. The applicant will have to provide that, but the applicant has provided that, and there isn't any sewer or water. It's going to be portable. The use will not create excess additional public cost and will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the township, and he's got no potential issues identified. Natural resources, the potential tiny home will not create a substantially negative impact on the natural resources of the township or the natural environment as a whole. according to the section, the landscape shall be preserved in its natural state as far as practical by minimizing tree and soil removal, and any grade or slope changes shall be in keeping with the general appearances of the neighborhood. And then E, in general, the use will not impair the purpose and intent of the ordinance. No potential issues identified, he says. Section 322, waterfront greenbelt. A greenbelt shall be established and maintained on all property located within 25 feet of the ordinary high water mark of the lake or stream. The residence will be located 70 foot from the waterfront. Lakefront property is strongly recommended that at least 70% of the lot width at the water line shall be kept in natural vegetation, either trees, shrubs, herbaceous plants, or unmowed grass. This vegetative strip shall be 25 feet deep from the water's edge. Summary of findings: based on the analysis information provided, the tiny home meets the ordinance standards. Okay, so we have to have a motion to accept the findings of fact, section 7, A, B, C, D, E, and section 322.
Yep.
Support.
Okay. Oh,
Well, no, I think it, well, okay.
tell me when I need a roll call.
Discussion of safety, summary of all findings. Okay. We do need a roll call,
Okay.
but what did you make a motion on?
Just accepting the finding of facts
Okay, so
from
I'll just put it in here, made by,
section 7, section,
it.
article 7, okay. Section
I just put
602
that
and,
you read all the sections A and B, C, D, and E, also section 322 is read.
and no members
And,
objected or
no, okay.
commented. Okay, so,
Okay, then who made the motion? Chuck did?
Chuck and
Motion made
Norm,
by-
Norm second.
Okay, the Fever to accept,
Article 7, supplemental regulations, section 602, special land use approval standards, A through E, and section 322, waterfront
I'm gonna
greenbelt.
have to write that out at some
Okay.
point. Okay, so,
But you know what that is,
well,
okay.
I'll just review it,
Yeah.
what you just said. So, okay, Brendel's not here, Daring not here, Hilberg,
Aye.
Kohart? The Fever?
Yes.
Foley?
Yes.
Rich?
That's been, we're done with that. I just want to say one thing. I'd like to thank you folks with your new tiny home